Just guys, just keep your head down. Just keep thinking कि ये this too shall end. और हर बुरी चीज के बाद there is always going to be a happy ending, inshallah.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of In the Times with Cedar College. Why In the Times? Because these times are new, unprecedented, and frankly have left all of us completely boggled. Even though it may feel the entire world has come to a standstill, there's so much to talk about in these times and much more to learn from. In a nutshell, it's Cedar's tiny way to start a small conversation about big things ahead. In this episode, we feature two rock stars of Cedar College, Ms Aysha Sheikh, the principal, and Ms Fatima Khurshid, the head of the SAC and admissions at Cedar College. Both have their own perspectives on what's going on in the pandemic, and both have lots of knowledge to share from. The key learnings and the key takeaways from the conversation with Ms Aysha and with Ms Fatma was that it's a rough time, but make sure to spend that time with yourself that you didn't get before. Make sure to spend that time with your family that you didn't get before. Be sure to build the connections that you once lost, and be sure to remind yourself that everything's going to be alright. And if it's not alright, it's not the end. I took that quote from a buddy of mine who many of you call Sir Mehedil at Cedar School and Cedar College. Listen on to get more insights on Ms Aysha and Ms Fatma, learn about how they're dealing with the pandemic, learn about how they've spent the time adjusting to the pandemic, and also what advice they have to share with all of you sitting at home and staying safe. Be sure to check out both episode 1 and episode 2 of In the Times on Facebook and anchor.fm/InTheTimes. If you'd like to submit a recording of yourself asking a question for our next guest or for me, feel free to send that in to me at asad.hashamali@cedar.edu.pk. That's asad.hashamali@cedar.edu.pk. This episode of In the Times with Cedar College is produced by BackSpace. Now let's get into episode 2 of In the Times, and the first segment is with Ms Aysha. Hi Ms Aysha, how are you?
Hi Asad, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Do you remember when we were sitting in a little makeshift studio back at Cedar and recording Listen Up? You remember that day?
Yes, my first ever video recording interview with you.
Yeah.
And I must say that you're the one person I'm most comfortable talking to because you have this ability to put someone at ease immediately.
That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. I try, Actually, I'm trying to figure out if I can make this a living, just have conversations with people. Now I don't even have to get out of the house, so it's even easier. Yeah. So Miss, how's everything been for you? In the Times is about sharing some stories from individuals at Cedar about how they're coping with the current scenario, with the pandemic, with the lockdown. So how has it been for you personally, adjusting to the lockdown?
It's been difficult, and yet I think I'm also appreciating the time I'm getting to reflect upon things, the time I'm getting to work on my relationships as well. In the day, you never got time to pick up a phone and make a phone call to people and ask. Now you have all the time in the world. So I'm reconnecting. I actually reconnected with my old St. Mary's group in Dubai. I was at St. Mary's School from 73 to 86, and we finally got in touch with one another on a group.
Wow.
It was nice catching up with old friends. Yeah.
Great. I hope no one forgot each other though.
It was interesting how they remembered certain things about me that I had forgotten, because there's a friend of mine on that group, Mary Rose Chambers, who said, "Hey Aysha, I remember you used to be a brilliant artist." And I'm thinking, gosh, she remembers, because there was what we used to do in break time, etc. was I used to try and draw people's sketches, and art homework was always I was always told, "Aysha, can you please do our art homework for us?" So it's
really
interesting to remember. Yeah.
Did you guys exchange lunch for that transaction also, or?
No, there was no simpler times. I said this is not a case of you do this for me and I will do that for you. You did it out of your heart and your basic humanity.
yeah इंसानियत वाले दिन थे वो.
बस कुछ.
Yeah,
you're right.
So it's nice to hear that you're spending this time. I'm sure there's a lot of reflection also. Yes, no?
Yes, a lot of reflection. I think in my home, this is just my husband and myself.
Mm-hmm.
We are reflecting upon one another as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting.
Nice.
I think I'm learning a lot about myself. Some of it is not nice,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I'm learning to accept it. Yeah, yeah. And
Nice,
Zishan
nice.
has taken this time to set up his whole music studio and with all the visuals and all the tech things that go into it. So that
As one would, where you want to just create your own little corner and go out, all out with that.
we do have our own little corners, by the way.
Oh, really?
Have our He has his man cave, as I call it, his studio,
Uh-huh.
and I have my workspace has become the little TV den that we have,
Mm-hmm.
where I do my research and my work for the online professional development course I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and of course helping with the summer program that we've designed for our Cedar students.
Mm-hmm. Right, great,
Yeah.
great. So Miss Aisha, the school's been closed since 27th February, nationwide, more or less. And Cedar actually came online pretty quickly. I remember us being on the outside and members from the team, we were all in coordination with Sir Umair and Kazi about how things are going about, what mediums are going to be used also. So how has the process been? Can you walk us through that process of actually making the shift online? How
I
was it?
think
How was the experience overall?
for us, Asad, it wasn't so difficult because, as you know, Cedar College has been an institution that's very tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and most of our communication with parents and with students takes place online as it is. So to transfer that kind of communication into a structure, into an online classroom, wasn't that difficult. It was difficult getting access to students and parents to make sure that they were coming online for the classes. But once it started, it was fine. And you will see that in our online summer courses that we're offering to our students. There are a total of 32 courses. All of them are free. The students are not being charged.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have more than 900 signups.
Wow. Out of a student
With
body of like 1,300, 1,400?
out of a body of about 1,400, we have
Brilliant.
900 signups, and we closed it yesterday. But students are still emailing and writing that, can you please open the signups? We couldn't sign up because of XYZ reasons. So we're trying to accommodate them as well. We've offered the same platform to the Cedar School students as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a little late in getting the information. We hadn't decided till this weekend, but we already have 19 plus signups even from the Cedar School within a matter of 24 hours.
Wow. That's brilliant. And
Um,
these are
and,
courses
and
that range from like SAT prep to even Counter-Strike,
courses
right?
that range from languages that we have French, Spanish, Turkish, basic.
Uh-huh.
We have things like public speaking. We have test preps for the SAT and for the IBA exams,
Mm-hmm.
entry tests. We have things like how to build a startup, how to plan as on a stock market. How does the stock market work, etc. We have discussions on music. We have discussions on social issues that are happening. So I just felt it was a way for us to connect to the students and make sure that the students weren't feeling isolated and were
Mm-hmm.
still part of the theater family. And we've had an amazing reaction, a response from them. I think it's great.
Great, great.
And we
That's
have
amazing.
everything because the 32 courses are appealing to everyone's interest, and it's non-academic mostly. It's free of cost. Our teachers have volunteered to do this course. So I think both parents and students are happy that they're engaged during this period of isolation, and there's something to keep them busy.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And is there an end date to these courses so far?
Well, it's a 4 to 5 week program.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that after Eid, we're hoping and praying that school will reopen in June.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope it does. And if not, then we will have at least trained our students into online decorum for classes, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
have
Yeah.
to shift the focus back on academics online if school does not open in June.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. So I had this, that you mentioned this actually. I hope schools do reopen from the 1st of
I
June.
hope so.
But I had this little conversation with Somaya in the first episode, and when I asked him about what do you see as the future of schools in Pakistan, and his idea was a more hybrid model of education where there would be brick and mortar, of course. We don't have the luxury of going completely online purely because of accessibility um, and
That's
and and cost restrictions on tech, but an hybrid model which would entail some hours of online learning versus some hours of physical interaction in on a campus. So what do you see? How do you think the school year will be different ahead?
I think it's very accurate what Umair has described, because there are students who have, as feedback, given us this information that, we love the online classes because the lectures were recorded and sent to us. So if we missed out on anything, we were able to access and understand what had happened in class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're appreciating the online classes because there's no interruption, in the sense that they can focus totally on what the teacher is saying and
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in the lesson. I do feel though that the hybrid model is important, because you need to keep the human touch in teaching. You need to keep
Mm-hmm.
that alive.
Right.
uh, there are students who feel that the one-on-one they may have had with a teacher, or the interaction in the classroom in the form of group discussion, just feeling part of a class or a community, I think that's what may be missing in an online class. But the main objective is to get the knowledge across, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that our students are getting the best of education, whether it's online or in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And the hybrid model would work best.
Right. Awesome. So, speaking from your own experience, actually, do you think that teachers might teachers actually, not even students, but do you think teachers might have some difficulty in adjusting to a flipped classroom model? Do you forecast
Absolutely.
that anyway?
Absolutely, because you see, I speak for myself. I'm not that tech savvy, so
Mm-hmm.
it took me a couple of turns to understand how the Zoom classroom works, etc., and to
Mm-hmm.
get used to the idea that it's going to be a one-way kind of a conversation taking place, because students can't interact vocally as much as they could do in a classroom. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, we have to look at what the end goal is, and which is to get our information across. I did a class on public speaking, and it was interactive in the sense that it was a little slow, but I gave them things to do, workshop. It was like a workshop. And then each one of them had to raise their hand and volunteer. And then I would give them their mic to open and explain and to talk about things. So it has to be something that you need to learn to do, because it is the teaching of tomorrow. And I'm afraid that the ones who can't or won't be willing to do so may be left behind.
Fair, fair. And but hats off to you, by the way, and hats off to all of the teachers who've made that adjustment
Oh
and
yes, we've
who've
had a we've had a very collaborative and very enthusiastic faculty and our admin. Most of these summer courses are being taken by our counselors and other admin members who are skilled in a certain discipline, and they want to share that knowledge with the students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think each one of them is doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, hats off to everyone. So, Miss Aisha, coping with these times and forecasting also how schools might reopen, you being the principal and a leader of the school, you have a solid bond with many students also. You're the patron of the Drama Society. Unfortunately, the play this year, Ufiya Noor, couldn't happen.
So we did an
So,
online reader theater in order to keep
yeah,
these kids.
that happened.
Uh,
Which was pretty innovative, by the way. Seeing the
Thank
previous
you.
formats, you would think that this can't happen online, but lo and behold, it happened online.
Where there is a
Uh,
will, there's a way.
exactly, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. But so with all your kids, uh, present and past, also, what advice have you shared with them about how they can cope with these times a little better?
I think my main um, conversations with them currently and previously have always been to stay grounded.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fight a situation like this. This is a pandemic, it's affecting the entire world. We can only look out for one another by adhering to the safety precautions, etc. And to be patient. And I found that most of the times, all these children need is someone to talk to. And if a mentor or a leader or a teacher can be that one person that they feel in connection with and communicate with, they're fine. These kids are very resilient, and we're living a part of history that I hope is never repeated in future. But I think it'll. My advice to them is that learn from this, reflect on this, think about what your future strategies and actions will be in terms of where you're going in life. Because I mean, we've just done a complete turnaround. Things that we were taking for granted are suddenly no longer there. So I think learn to appreciate life a little, respect it. That's what I would say to them.
True. Very well said, Ms. Aysha. I think that's something that even I needed to hear, to be honest. Yeah.
I think we all need to slow down. This is God's way of telling us, slow down and appreciate nature and appreciate life. Don't take it.
Yeah, and I think we've been taking it for granted for so long that now is the time. We all have very, very fast-paced lives. I think, and that's you can't even just associate that term with grown-ups. Even kids, they're running around from one place to another. The level of connection that they all have with each other is
I think
escalated.
most importantly, Asad, it's a time for people to connect with families, connect with your families, and try and understand one another and learn from one another.
Very true. Very true. Ms. Aysha, any last words you'd like to share with whoever's listening?
Well, I would just like to say that I hope this pandemic is soon over, and I hope we resume back to life as we know it, as normal, with, I think, a few changes. I think each one of us will come back a changed individual, and let's look at the positive side of things, and let's hope that we move together in a positive manner.
Inshallah.
I'm looking forward to Cedar College opening again. But I'm rethinking a lot of things and hoping to implement a lot of changes as soon as it opens and comes back to normal.
Great. Don't worry, I'm not going to pick your brains about what changes are you bringing. We'll let that be a suspense when the school year opens. Wait and see. Yeah. But thank you so much, Ms. Aysha. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Asad.
It was great. As always, it was great talking to you.
Same here. Take care.
You too, Miss. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And there you have it, Ms Aysha Sheikh, the principal of Cedar College. Once again, Ms Aysha, thank you very much for coming on. The second segment is with Ms Fatima Khurshid. So, fun fact about Ms Fatima. Ms Fatima was one of the first few members of Cedar College back in 2015, 2014, around that time. And she's seen me grow up. She's literally seen me through thick and thin and has been a mentor figure for me back when I was at Cedar also as a wee little lad, helping the team grow, expand, and take the school to new heights. Hi, Ms. Fatima, how are you?
I'm fine, Asad. How are you doing?
Not too bad. In the same position as everyone else, I guess. Ghar pe baithe hue, trying to get by these days a little better.
Fasting,
yes. Quarantine. Yeah, fasting and quarantine. Yeah, I think that's a combination that many of us were kind of hoping would not have to come about. But I can't control that funny. Now.
It's really funny how every time there are Ramzan, everyone just hopes कि जब बस छुट्टी हो जाए तो हम आराम से रोजे रखेंगे, हम घर बैठ के रखेंगे, और अब जब हम घर बैठ के रख रहे हैं, so everyone's just like, I wish I could just be at work right now.
Yeah, exactly. So something that we've actually started doing at BackSpace is that we decided to flip the Ramzan timings, so that people at work also can adjust to it a little bit. So instead of having that conventional 9 to 2 or 9 to 3 during Ramzan, we were like, let's just keep it from 11 to 4. Let people sleep after Sehri. Anyways, working from home and moving home on its own is a task. So yeah, I guess that's what people can do, I guess. But overall for you, Ms. Fatma, how has the lockdown been? How are you dealing with it personally, if you don't mind me asking?
I think one of the things that I didn't do consciously, but I think has kind of really helped me with the lockdown, is that I stuck to my regular routine.
Really?
So I I've never been one of those who's needed to sleep a lot. So I've always been like a late sleeper. So that hasn't changed. I still wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning. I have cats at home who need to be fed, and so they don't understand lockdown or quarantine or anything. So as far as they're concerned, it's just the fact
Business
that
as
I'm at
usual for them.
yeah. The only thing that's different is that I don't go to work, which also they're quite happy with. They're just like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So I still wake up at 7, and the day starts by about 8:30. I clean up the house, and I start work. So, but I
All
think
right.
that has really kind of helped me maintain like a sense of balance,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and mentally. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've just I know a lot of people who just completely twisted their day around where they're staying up all night and sleeping all day,
Yeah.
and that didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, that's actually nice to hear you say that, because I think many individuals I know tried to follow that previous routine, a pre-COVID routine, but they also, well, for lack of a better word, they failed at that. But it's nice to hear that you still kept that up. And is it the same even with the fasting and with the sehri and iftar timings as well? Is
Yeah.
that, yeah?
Uh, I mean, I think the only thing that's changed since Ramzan is that I still get up at 7. Like I do my sehri,
Yeah.
and I go to sleep after namaz, and
Mm-hmm.
then I wake up at 7, and then
Mm-hmm.
after I've fed the cats, I probably take like an hour and a half long nap, but I'm up by about 8:39.
Okay.
So yeah, like I'm maintaining daylight hours. Uh,
Okay.
so it's I think that's, honestly speaking, at home also, I think that's really helped everyone kind of just, we feel like there's a sense of normalcy there, some
Right,
sense of
right. Yeah. And then you have also, I think that inshallah, when things get better soon, it'll be easier for you to adjust as well back to the new normal or the old life or whatever you want to call it.
I think, yeah, I think it's going to be a new normal, Asad. I
Yeah.
don't think any of us is going to go back to life like we knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what has happened, this entire situation has kind of really brought all of us to a standstill and has given
Mm-hmm.
us so much time to kind of look internally and see what we were doing, what we want to fix about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think once the city starts opening up and the world starts opening up, I think there's still going to be a lot of paranoia. People are still going to be scared. I don't think that the issue is going away. We're just coming to a point, inshallah, soon for Pakistan also, where we're kind of being able to keep it at bay. Magar, till we don't find a vaccine or like there isn't a concrete solution hasn't been found, I don't think that the pandemic is going away.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually it's nice that you say this, not in the context of the pandemic, but it's nice to hear that that's your perspective. Because as a question that I had in mind was that how do you think that the school year ahead is actually going to change? Do you think that and this is not just for Cedar, this is I think for schools across the country that or maybe across the world, that do you think health checks, security checks are going to have to go up? Do you think that there's going to be a more there's going to be a shift towards creating online platforms with proprietary technology for schools? Do you think there's going to be more um, acceptance? Maybe is the right term for this. But do you think the parents are also going to be more accepting of having their kids studying online? What do you think is going to happen?
So because I had admissions, I've been doing a lot of admission interviews for the past couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that I'm hearing a lot from everyone that I interview, and also the current student body, those that are graduating and those that have to go into A2, I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the things that they really, really want for the first time, students are wanting to go back to school. Um, for I don't think that I don't think we've ever like ये वाली situation किसी ने नहीं imagine की थी कि बच्चे ये
हाँ कि
कहेंगे कि
बच्चे
school
खुद बोल रहे कि दरवाजे खोल दे प्लीज हमें अंदर आना है
स्कूल कब खुलेगा
yeah
तो जो है for their sake Asad मुझे yesterday only I was talking to a student and the father asked me this question. He said, would you be able to say that my child is going to be able to be back in a school environment once, like soon, anytime soon?
yeah
And I honestly, for their sake, I hope that happens,
right
because I feel like it is really important for kids to be able to go back to school, go back into classes. They need that routine, they need that discipline, and I think they need that connection, that human
mm-hmm.
connection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Magar, keeping the current situation in mind, I think the prudent thing for all institutions would be to find online platforms through which they can continue to deliver or continue to educate. Because ये जो हुआ है जिसकी वजह से we've had to shut down the school. I mean, schools in Karachi have been shut down for almost a month and a half now, and in fact,
yeah
2 months almost.
yeah
And and while yes, there was a lot of like online classes happening in a lot of schools, and I think Cedar was one of the schools that took a lead on this also. We went in hard with the online classes. We even right now we have like the summer or the Ramzan workshops going on, so we're trying to stay connected to the student body.
mm-hmm.
But I think we this is something that we really like to need to knuckle, like to we really need to work hard on ensuring that if schools nahi khul pate hain
Mm-hmm.
situation ki wajah se, so how are we going to ensure that we that we continue with the educational process, like the process of educating the students,
Mm-hmm.
and b how we give them a sense of normalcy in a situation that is not at all normal.
right
Because that is very necessary, because I mean, they're kids, even though I know that we're dealing with like an older age group, magar ye ke even for them it's difficult for them to kind of come to terms with the fact that, like for my A2s,
mm-hmm.
a lot of them are just like, miss, will we ever graduate, like will we have a graduation ceremony, will we get to wear a gown, uh, but what about what about my farewell? I wanted to be with my friends one last time, and I feel for them. I honestly feel for them, because they needed that closure.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope, like my wish and my dream is that we're on the 1st of June, that we're going to be able to open the gates. I'm going to say, yeah, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Magar, if I am being very honest, I feel like that is possibly, like, it's not going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
even if it does, it's not going to happen the way that we would like for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think where Cedar is concerned, there is a team that is working very hard on ensuring that there is a backup plan in terms of having online platforms, so that we can start taking classes online and start engaging with students online.
all right I hope that time comes because this is also a situation. I completely understand what you mean by they're either teenagers, they're kids also. And this is, I had this thought that Howard kids from in primary school actually adjusted this whole shift. And, many you also have friends who have kids that are in primary school right now, and them being home for so long, this is such a crucial time for their social emotional learning. But I think that
Yeah,
there's also
I was
been this.
actually, I'm sorry, please go on.
No, continue.
I was actually talking to someone yesterday who has young kids, and
Mm-hmm.
someone from the team, actually from the admissions team.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "How are your kids doing?" And her kids are young. Like she's got like a 5-year-old, I think a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I asked, I said, "How are the kids doing?" And she said, "They've become very naughty. They keep asking me, when are you going to work? Go back to work. We want you to go back to work." And I said, "Why? So that they are alone at home with Dadi?" And she's like, "No, because my daughter says, because when you go back to work, I can go back to school." and I want to go back to school and be with my friends. I don't want to be at home with you all the time. So I mean, for
It's hitting them. It's hitting them.
yeah,
It's a
yeah. They're also I mean, they understand. I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, there's some sense of understanding, but
Hmm.
they're not liking what they're understanding.
Yeah, yeah. So, Miss Fatma, as a final question to you, actually, is you're very involved with extracurriculars. You're leading the student activity center also, and you have a solid bond with many kids. Um, for all those who don't know, and I like bringing this up in every interview that I do with Miss Fatma, she was there when I was in Lyceum, and saw me also leave debating and throw tantrums and extracurriculars. Not so much, but I like to think so. But what do you say to all the kids? What advice do you give them, especially after the play also having to be cancelled? I think that was it was hyped up. Everyone was excited. It was their first. It was the first in-house, completely in like produced play, right? That they had scripted. It was a musical. What do you tell them? How do you, how do you, what advice do you give them?
I think one of the things, and I know that you've been one of my students also.
Yeah.
So I know one of the things that I've always said to kids is that आखिर में सब कुछ ठीक हो जाता है.
Yes.
Like in the end, everything kind of falls into place. It may not fall into place the way that you imagine that it should fall into place, or you hope it should fall in place, but it falls into place, and somehow everything kind of works itself out. One of the things with the kids that were doing the drama, I think I felt really bad for them, because I said, honestly speaking, they've worked on that play for about 9 to 10 months. They wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 1,000 drafts of the play, and they were about to go on stage. Like literally, there were about 10 days left, I think, when the first shutdown closure happened.
Yeah.
So they were really hard hit, understandably so. मगर ये कि जो है, even for them and for the entire Cedar community, the student community, I would just say my advice to them would be कि, just try to maintain some sort of balance in your life.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a routine. Figure out how you can make this break into something positive for yourself, and try to stay grounded and just keep breathing. Every time it seems like life or things around you are overwhelming you, I would just suggest just sit back, take a break, and just take deep breaths in and exhale. you know because you just need to be you need to take care of yourselves first
Mm-hmm.
before you're in a position where you can start taking care of the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really really important to feel good within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Only then can you kind of spread warmth and positivity around yourself. So that's my advice. I don't know how
Wow.
helpful that is.
Well, it made me think that I have to be more present and be more in the moment as well. So that's a good thing. Um, Thank you very much, Miss Fatma. As always, great to talk to you. And so before your segment, actually, we had Miss Aysha, and it's just nice to hear you to share your own personal anecdotes also about how you're coping with the situation, because I think that especially when individuals in your situation have to be that strong individual that is passing on guidance and wisdom constantly, right? And people come to you in those times. But this is a great opportunity for many people to listen to that. In these times, everyone's human and everyone is going to have their own way of dealing with the pandemic, with the lockdown, and whatever's going on. So thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd just like to say one thing to all my daddus out there. You were one of them, Asad.
Yeah, yeah.
Just guys, just keep your head down and just keep thinking कि ये this too shall end. और हर बुरी चीज के बाद there is always going to be a happy ending, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Ms. Fatma, once again. This was episode number 2 of In the Times with me, Asad Hashamali. This episode was produced by BackSpace. If you would like to catch the first episode with Umair Masood, head on over to our Facebook page, or you can find all of the podcast streaming links on anchor.fm/In the Times. If you'd like to submit, a little voice recording or a question for our next guest, the next guest, by the way, is going to be Mr. Ali Qazi. If you have a question for him, feel free to send in a voice recording to me at asad.hashamali@cedar.edu.bk. That's asad.hashamali@cedar.edu.bk. Till the next one, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.